We're back for our daily MLB best bets here for game number 6 of the American League Championship Series between the Seattle Mariners and the Toronto Blue Jays. This is an elimination game tonight, obviously, for Toronto, and Seattle can punch their ticket to the World Series to take on the Los Angeles Dodgers. World Series starts on Friday night, so let's see if Seattle can punch their ticket tonight, or we will see a Game 7 winner go home tomorrow night from the 6th. Now, folks, before we get into the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more daily MLB best bets here on the channel. If the Mariners win tonight, I'll see you on early Friday morning for our Game 1 predictions of the World Series. On the channel, between the end of this ALCS and the World Series, we will start our daily NBA best bets on the channel. Same format for the most part as our MLB best bets. We'll go over that again when the NBA season starts on Tuesday, so you're not going to want to miss that. Daily NBA best bets starting on Tuesday. But again, if the Blue Jays win today, I will see you guys tomorrow for Game 7 of our best bets here for the ALCS. If not, again, World Series best bets will be on early Friday morning. Also on the channel, folks, make sure you go check out our NFL predictions and best bets. Obviously, Week 7 of the NFL season is today, so go make sure to check that out. Again, linked in the description down below. And also later today on Greedo Plays MMA, our UFC 321 predictions. Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gane in the main event for the Heavyweight Championship. Go make sure to check that out on Greedo Plays MMA today at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. Okay. On to the first of our 3 best bets for Game 6 of the ALCS. Obviously, the Dodgers are in the World Series. I guess I'll talk about that at the end of the video. I'm sure you guys are dying to know what I think about that. Anyways, and you know, I get Ohtani's all right. You know, I guess Ohtani's, he's okay. He's okay, man. Anyways, let's get on to the first of our 3 best bets today for the MLB, kicking things off with the over 7.5 runs. So when I look at this Game 6 between the Mariners and the Blue Jays, obviously, right, Seattle goes up 2-0. Toronto takes both games 3 and 4 in Seattle. Max Scherzer with a gutsy effort on Game 4 on Thursday night. And then obviously, right, Toronto loses it and really chokes it, in my opinion, in Game 5 to give Seattle the momentum back. But not all the momentum in the world at the same time is going to Seattle, because the Blue Jays do get to return home. And that is going to be a crazy crowd, and a crowd that probably didn't think that series was going to go back to Toronto. I mean, I didn't think the series was going to get back to Toronto after game number 2. You go down 2-0 going into Seattle, and you need to find a way to win at least 2 of 3 in the Pacific Northwest, and the Blue Jays did exactly that. Now, the crazy thing is, they feel like, I mean, I'm sure if I'm on the Blue Jays, or if I'm a Blue Jays fan, I feel like Game 5 we just let slip. I mean, that was a game that was right there for the taking, and it just slipped out of our hands. Again, that's my perspective if I'm a Blue Jays fan. I'm not a Blue Jays fan. My team has been long eliminated. Regardless, though, Toronto does get the series back in the 6th, but the 2 games that I think are most important to look at here for game number 6 is Game 2 in Toronto, because that's the same exact pitching matchup we get tonight. Logan Gilbert going for the Mariners and Trey Savage going for Toronto. And then, of course, game number 5 that was just played, obviously, because that's, you know, the most important because we just saw it. Now, Seattle wins both of these games, which I will get to the money line prediction at the end of the video. We will talk about that at the end. Again, the first bet's the over. Both of these 2 games that we saw, Game 5 and Game 2, where we got the same exact pitching matchup, the over 7.5 cashed. Game 2 in Toronto, 10-3 final for the Mariners, and Game 5, 6-2 final in favor of Seattle. I actually feel like Game 2 in Toronto is probably the better one to look at. And I get it, again, it's a game that Seattle wins 10-3. I'll say this right now. I expect Game 6 to be a lot closer than game number 2 was. But I think this is the best game to look at, obviously, because, well, we're getting this game again back in Toronto, and we get the same exact pitchers. The over should be fine here. I have to believe Trey Savage is going to be better second time around, because this is a guy, and Trey Savage obviously only had, 6 career starts now in the MLB. Pitched lights out to start the postseason, went 5 1/3 innings against the New York Yankees, and then in his second start in his postseason career, Game 2, 4 innings, 4 hits, 5 runs against Seattle. And if you remember Game 2, Julio Rodriguez hits the 3-run shot in the top of the first inning. All of the momentum in the world for Seattle, and then Toronto keeps on scratching and getting back into that game. Lucas has the infield single, and then obviously Josh Naylor makes the error, throwing to Logan Gilbert at first base, scoring George Springer. Alejandro Kirk brings in Lucas, and then Lucas himself has an RBI single in the bottom of the second to tie the game up at 3-3, and then obviously Jorge Polanco busted that game wide open in the top of the 5th inning with a 3-run shot. But again, both starting pitchers gave up runs. Trey Savage gave up 5. A lot of that was from Julio, and then obviously Savage didn't give up the Polanco home run himself, but the runners were there because of Savage. Savage put those guys on. And if you remember, Logan Gilbert was getting hit really hard. I mean, even the outs for Toronto, loud outs. Gilbert only had 2 Ks in 3 innings, and the Blue Jays were squaring Logan Gilbert up. They were timing him. They were getting him down to the point where Seattle pulls Gilbert out after the 3rd inning, and they've done that before in the series, right? Dan Wilson pulled Bryce Miller really early, even though, yes, Miller was not great statistically throughout the course of the season. Miller gets pulled in a big Game 5 early. The bullpen did give up the lead, but obviously, right, Easton Lucas choked the game for the Toronto Blue Jays. It is what it is. Not Easton. Did I say Easton Lucas? Brendan Little. I don't know why I said Easton Lucas. Different pitcher for the Toronto Blue Jays. Lefty. It was Brendan Little who choked the game. Wrong lefty. Brendan Little choked the game for the Toronto Blue Jays in game number 5, right? But Seattle's been pulling their starters fairly early. We saw it with Luis Castillo, Bryce Miller, and in Logan Gilbert. But the Gilbert one was kind of warranted because, again, you watched that game. Ooh, Toronto's timing him up. Right, they are, and I know again Lucas had the dribbler that got through, or he beat out at first base. I get it, but I mean, look at the way they're hitting the ball in that 2nd inning, and then they pulled Gilbert after a better 3rd inning. But there was just a lot of hits in general in this game number 2. 16 combined hits, 10 of those went to Seattle, 6 went to the Toronto Blue Jays, and there were 5 runs scored in just the 1st inning. If you remember the over for that game, the over-under was at 7.5, and the over hit, obviously, and that was marked at plus 110. In the rematch, or I guess you can call it a rematch, in the second go of things between Toronto Gilbert and Savage, we are getting it at minus 110 on the over instead of plus 110 last time around. I think the Blue Jays will hit much better at home this time. They cracked the equation of how to hit in Seattle, and that's been a thing we've always talked about. Like, it's difficult to hit in Seattle, Washington. Marine Layer at T-Mobile Park, it is just a difficult place to hit a baseball and difficult place to, carry a ball out. Seattle cracked that equation. Hey, Gino Suarez cracked that occasion. He cracked that equation in game number 5 with the grand slam. Cal Raleigh obviously put one out in game number 5 as well. But the Blue Jays needed to heat up offensively because they were dead in the water in Toronto. 1 run in game 1, 3 runs in game 2, all 3 of which came in the first 2 innings off of Logan Gilbert. And they go to Seattle. First 2 games in that series, they score a combined 21 runs. I think they're going to be okay. Now, I know they only scored 2 in game 5. I thought 2 was actually going to be enough. Now, again, there were so many missed opportunities for Toronto. They had bases loaded, no outs against Bryce Miller in, the 3rd inning, and they got nothing. And obviously, right in the 5th inning, once they pull Bryce Miller, it is a earned run on him, but George Springer hits the double scoring Addison Barger. Of course, that was against Matt Brash, and then Ernie Clement scored Alejandro Kirk against Brian Wu. And then, obviously, good old Brendan Little came into the game, walks 2 guys, then, gives up the solo home run to Cal Raleigh, walks 2 guys, Spire comes in, hits Randy Arozarena, grand slam Eugenio Suarez. Not Gabe Spire, Gabe Spire's on the Mariners. Sir Anthony Dominguez. Sir Anthony Dominguez comes in, hits Arozarena, grand slam. Oh, yikes. I would expect the bats for Toronto, though, to be much better this time around and not really put their pitching in a tight spot tonight. I think the game's going to be closer, obviously, than game 2, 10-3, but I think Toronto's going to be in a much better spot. It's a must-win game for them. Seattle, obviously, they're desperately trying to win this game, too. They do not want to go to a win-or-go-home game 7, but I kind of feel like, again, regardless of who wins the game, the over has to hit. Gilbert, Savage, 2 hittable guys, I will say, and I can get into the realistics of a game 7 in a second. I guess we'll talk about that later in the video if we need to, but I'm going to be going here with the over 7.5 runs marked at minus 110. I think this one should be fine with Logan Gilbert and Trey Savage on the mound. On to our second best bet of the video. Let's try this again. Let's try this one more time. Okay, so if you need a refresher, in games 1 and 2, we played this line. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. over 1.5 total bags in Toronto. What did Vlad do in the first 2 games, or the only 2 games so far in this ALCS in Toronto? He went 0 for 7, and with 1 walk in game 2. We don't play any game in Seattle. What does he do in Seattle? He passes this line all 3 games. Game 3, Vlad goes 4 for 4 with 9 total bags. Game 4, he goes 2 for 5 with 5 total bags. And in game 5, 1 for 2. He got walked twice, intentionally walked a couple times, but in one of his 2 actual at-bats, Vladimir Guerrero got a ball down, hit a ball very hard in the gap, and it was a double. So Vlad in Seattle went 3 for 3 on over 1.5 total bags. I can break this down matchup-wise. Him and Logan Gilbert and what happened the first time around when he and Gilbert faced off in this series. I mean, I can tell you right now, Guerrero grounded out. He hit a hard ground ball in the first inning, and then in the second time around against Gilbert, hit one to second. 2 ground balls against Logan Gilbert. He went 0 for 2. And then later in that game, he grounded out right back to the mound, and then his last step out of the game was way over by then. Guerrero did walk in the bottom of the 8th inning. But I can break all that down. I can break down the matchups and what could potentially happen tonight. The biggest factor of this is Guerrero going to be that guy tonight for Toronto? Because there's going to come a point in this game, I don't know when that might be in his first at-bat, that's his second at-bat, his third, or potentially his fourth. But there's going to come a time tonight where the Blue Jays are going to need Guerrero to be the guy. There's going to come a point where they need Guerrero to do something absolutely huge for them. And the question is, can Guerrero actually step up and do it this time around? Saying can he actually step up, that's not fair, because Guerrero's been tremendous. But at least in the 2 games that this series was, the 2 games that was held in Toronto for this series, Guerrero did not show up, right? I mean, no one really showed up for Toronto. I mean, Springer hits the 1 home run, first pitch against Bryce Miller in game number 1, and nobody showed up the rest of the game. And then game 2, I mean, Lucas was big, but it really was not a big effort out of Toronto. When the games matter the most, will Vladimir Guerrero Jr. rise to the equation? I'm going to lean towards yes. I believe he will rise to that occasion. He played so well in Seattle to the point where the Mariners just did not want to pitch to him in Game 5, because of all the damage he was doing. I mean, home runs both in games 3 and 4, huge home runs in both. And then you get to Game 5, they wanted nothing to do with Guerrero, right? Guerrero hits the double in the first inning. 4th inning, they walk him to put runners on first and second. No, he to load him? Because Kirk walked to load him. So yes, because Lucas hit the double, then they walked Guerrero, and then they walked Kirk, and somehow Bryce Miller got out of that jam in the 4th inning with bases loaded, no outs, because Varsho struck out, then Ernie Clement tapped the ball 2 feet, so Raleigh was easily able to make that double play turn, obviously to first to Josh Naylor. Regardless, though, Guerrero doubles in the first, and they wanted nothing to do with Guerrero after. They intentionally walk him in the 4th. His at-bat in the 5th inning was a massive one. I mean, that could have really broken that game open for the Blue Jays. Runners on first and second. I thought, honestly, they were just going to load him up because George Springer hit the double to score Addison Barger. Then Nathan Lucas walked. So I was thinking, okay, well, and the commentator said it too. They said, well, you don't really want to pitch to Guerrero here. You just want to, and what the Mariners have been trying to do all series long against Guerrero is just jam him inside. If you can continue to jam Guerrero because he's such a good opposite field hitter, or at least if you pitch the ball down the middle, obviously he's going to do damage with it. But if you try to pitch away to Guerrero, he's just going to slap it. If you can just jam him inside, that's probably your best way of approaching Guerrero. Obviously, it was Brash that struck him out. But the commentators were saying, and I thought the Mariners were going to do it too because of how they approached Guerrero in his second at bat. I thought they were just going to walk Vlad. I mean, you load the bases, but I didn't think they wanted to pitch to Guerrero with the runner in scoring position. Well, Brash got the strikeout, and then obviously Guerrero comes back up in the 7th inning. He gets intentionally walked because George Springer got hit, which ended up taking him out of the game, and then runner on first, they just walked Guerrero upright. Lopervito got moved to second because Lucas grounded out, and then obviously empty bag, they walked Guerrero. Again, the Mariners wanted nothing to do with Vlad in that game. We gotta hope the guys in front of Guerrero in the lineup actually make the Mariners pay. What I'm saying with this is, I mean, let's just hope there's no empty bases in front of Guerrero this game. First and second, first and third. Just gotta make sure they actually have to pitch to Vlad. Now, a big factor of that, actually putting putting pressure, on Seattle is George Springer. Because will Springer play? Well, again, George Springer was hitting the kneecap in that 8th inning that we just talked about, or 8th or 7th inning, where Lopervito had to come in and pinch run, and obviously that was the same inning where they intentionally walked Vlad for the second time. Springer gets hit in the kneecap. He has to get pulled from the game. X-rays on Springer's right knee, comes back negative, and I believe he's a game-time decision for Game 6 of the ALCS. I can almost guarantee you Springer will play. I mean, this is it's not the exact same situation, but I'll bring this up. I mean, Tyrese Halliburton played on a really bad calf strain in the NBA Finals because you didn't know. I mean, Halliburton, if you watched the Netflix documentary, and you knew this at the time too. I mean, Halliburton said, when am I ever going to get this opportunity again? And I get it. George Springer in a different part of his career than Tyrese Halliburton. Obviously, Springer's 36. George Springer's won World Series before. He's not an up-and-coming young star and rising star like Halliburton, superstar like Halliburton is in the NBA. But my point being, it's the ALCS. I don't know how many more shots George Springer is going to get at this. You're at home, and oh, by the way, it's not like Springer plays the field. Addison Barger plays right field, something that he hadn't been doing all year long, and he's still kind of adjusting out there, but he's figuring it out. Barger's actually made some huge plays out in right field. His routes to the baseball and his angles to the baseball are a little questionable sometimes, but Barger's doing well. But Springer doesn't play the outfield anymore, or at least not. Well, he's not. He's not playing the outfield in the series, in this postseason. So you can keep Springer obviously DHing. He just has to be able to somewhat run the bases. I'd expect them to continue to put Springer in the leadoff spot. I can assume if the Blue Jays get to the World Series, again, big if, because again, I will talk about the logistics of Game 7 at the end of the video. You would assume Bo Bichette's back in the lineup, which should help them a lot, but who knows? Again, that's something that's a cross that bridge once you get there for Toronto, but I'm sure, again, if they can win tonight, win tomorrow, then, I know Santander's out, which that's not the biggest factor. It sucks, but it is what it is. If you can win the next 2 games, you have until next Friday, where actually the Dodgers are would have to go to Toronto for potentially, again, Bo Bichette back in the lineup. But anyways, and that should obviously help Guerrero out too. But in this particular spot, yeah, I think Guerrero should be fine. I really hope George Springer plays. I think George Springer is going to play. And Nathan Lucas has been one of the toughest outs in this series. We want to talk about tough outs. You have to talk about the bottom of the lineup too for Toronto, which kind of puts pressure on Seattle as well for Guerrero. I get it, right? Isaiah Kiner for left and Andres Jimenez hitting both the 8 and the 9 spots for Toronto, but I mean, they've been putting crazy pressure on Seattle, especially with the doubles that come out of the 8 spot, whether it be Isaiah Kiner-Falefa or not, and the 2 home runs that Andres Jimenez hit in games 3 and 4, respectively. And I know, again, those guys are probably not going to be on base for Guerrero, but again, that just keeps the line moving with, okay, here comes George Springer, here comes Lucas, and now here comes Vlad, hopefully, again, with no bases open. I think we're good in this one, man. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., he's done this in all 3 games in Seattle. I know he went 0 for 2 in trying to go over 1.5 total bags in Toronto, but when the lights are brightest, we count on the superstars. Again, it is, it's storybook type stuff. You can't write it better than this. We need Guerrero to show up tonight, and if the Blue Jays want a chance to be playing tomorrow night in Game 7 of the ALCS, which the MLB wants, they need Guerrero to show up tonight. I'm not even going to go down the route of the game being rigged because this is not the NFL. I can't say that. It's not the NBA. It's very hard to control a baseball game. Like, you can kind of control a football game and kind of control a basketball game. Baseball is just different. Obviously, there are different, there are calls behind the plate that you can kind of, mess around. But again, it's not like you can just say, oh, Guerrero's going to hit a home run, like, oh, we need SGA to score 33.5 points, right? Anyways, because obviously, we can't send Guerrero to the line like you can send SGA to the line. No, that's not a hit on SGA. Everyone goes to the free throw line. Regardless, give me Vladimir Guerrero Jr. over 1.5 total bags at -120 tonight in Toronto. Going now to our final best bet and our money line prediction. Will we get a Game 7? The answer to that question for me is yes. I believe the Blue Jays are going to win Game 6. Now, I am on the fence about Game 7. Obviously, my mind can be changed on Game 7 after I watch Game 6 tonight. I believe the Blue Jays are in trouble tomorrow night, okay? I think they are. But Game 6, they should win, okay? I don't think Savage craps the bed in back-to-back games. I really don't think he does. I know Rodriguez hit the 3-run shot against him, and it was, you tune into Game 2, and bam, immediately, right? Seattle's put up 3 runs on Trey Savage, but it all started because of control in that game. I mean, if Savage just gets off to a better start, I think he's fine, because look at what happens post Julio Rodriguez 3-run home run, right? Savage completely locks in and doesn't give up another run himself. Obviously, he gets a run charged on him because of the Polanco home run. I think he gets both runs, right? He gets the Raleigh run and the Rosarena run. Yeah, he gets 2 more runs charged on him, but, they take him out of the game. That's technically out of his control. But again, it all starts with control, and that control, obviously, in the first inning. Game starts, Savage, strike one, strike two, throws a four-seam and throws a slider on Randy Arozarena, who probably will not be batting the leadoff spot anymore. I assume that's going to be Julio Rodriguez, something that the Mariners did in game number 5. And that's fine, but again, in game 2, Savage throws 2 strikes, throws 3 balls, and then hits Arozarena on the 6th pitch. Okay, Arozarena's on. Here comes Cal Raleigh to the plate. You throw him first pitch fastball. Raleigh fouls it off. 3 straight balls. Raleigh fouls off the 5th pitch and then misses down on a fastball for a ball 4 on the 6th pitch. And then here comes Julio Rodriguez. Strike 1 looking, strike 2 looking. Don't throw Rodriguez a single fastball. You throw him all off speed, slider, splitter, strike 1, strike 2, splitter, ball 1 on pitch 3. And Savage leaves a splitter up, home run. And that's something that Kevin Gausman struggled with as well. Well, I mean, the one big mistake pitch he threw to Eugenio Suarez, in game number 5. I need Savage to just be better. Again, it's all about control. That's really, and the rest of his start's good, right? He comes back, strikes out Jorge Polanco, strikes out Eugenio Suarez. Yeah, Naylor singles, but who cares? He strikes out Polanco, strikes out Suarez, strikes out Canzone to end the inning. He gets 3 strikeouts after, obviously, Seattle scores 3 runs. It's all about pitch placement, and it's all about control. Again, essentially, he hit Arozarena. That's a walk, right? If Arozarena had gotten out the way of the fastball, it's still a walk anyway. So essentially, Savage walks the first 2 guys, and then on a 1-2 pitch, hangs a splitter over the center of the plate. And the worst place to hang a splitter, too. I mean, he hangs a splitter center up. There's not a worse place you can put that pitch. And obviously, Julio tees off on it, and Rodriguez takes it deep into left field. If Savage is just a little bit better, and we get the Savage that showed up against the Yankees in Game 2 of the ALDS, I think we're going to be okay. Now, I'm done comparing the Mariners to the Yankees because I've come to the realization, potentially, maybe the Yankees just weren't that good. Maybe other than Aaron Judge, that team just wasn't very good this season. I don't know. Because I'm sick of comparing them in Seattle, because Seattle, came into Toronto and dominated, unlike the Yankees, who looked horrible, obviously playing up in Ontario, Canada. But I compare the way that Savage and Logan Gilbert both pitched in Game 2, and I believe Savage's is more manageable, in regards to who he's going to be facing tonight. I look at, Logan Gilbert, he's just getting hit pretty hard. I get it. Again, the Lucas single is not hard hit at all. But I mean, George Springer doubles immediately. Alejandro Kirk hits one hard into center field to score. Lucas, I don't know. I like the approaches Toronto was taking against Logan Gilbert, a guy who looked pretty good throughout the course of the regular season. Toronto really, they really did not have any trouble seeing Logan Gilbert. To the point where, again, Gilbert gives up 2 runs or 3 runs, and he's pulled after the 3rd inning. Right, after a clean 3rd inning, but then they go to Bizzardo, and again, you just unleash the bullpen from there for the Mariners. I believe, again, what you get out of Savage is a lot more fixable than what Logan Gilbert is going to be in this Game 6. So I think, to me, again, second time around for Toronto is going to be much better against Logan Gilbert, because now, again, they already know what to expect, right? They've already hit him hard before. They should be able to hit him hard again, while on the contrary, right, Mariners execute, and obviously they score 3 and then 5 total earned runs on Trey Savage, but how do those runs really come to be? Well, it's walks, it's Julio taking advantage of a good pitch, and the second time around, obviously, where they scored runs that obviously, that Savage didn't give up himself, it was Varland, Arozarena infield single, and then he moved over to second on a crappy throw, and then obviously you intentionally walk Cal Raleigh, and then Varland gives up a 3-run shot to Polanco. That's fixable, in my opinion. I think, again, obviously, I'm not saying Logan Gilbert is going to, obviously Logan Gilbert could have a good day. He's a major league pitcher, and he's a very good major league pitcher. He's an all-star pitcher. I get that. But I think what Savage has to offer against the Mariners is a lot more fixable, in my opinion, and probably better off in a second opportunity than what Logan Gilbert's going to be in a second opportunity against the Seattle Mariners. That's just how I look at it personally here. Also, too, I mean, when I look at straight matchups, I actually kind of like Julio batting in the 1 spot here. I do. Because I know Arozarena is pretty much an automatic out, but okay, Julio and Raleigh are your best 2 guys. And yeah, Polanco too, but it eliminates, the bottom of the Mariners lineup has just been so bad. So it pretty much, for the most part, eliminates much damage of what Julio can do. Yeah, solo home runs are, they suck. They're not going to lose you a game. And I doubt, which the Mariners have gone to a lot before, I doubt just the solo home run beats Toronto tonight. I think the Mariners will need a lot more than just 1, 2, 3 solo shots to take the Blue Jays down. If the Mariners are going to win, it's going to be multiple multi-run shots tonight. So, again, for as horrible as this would be, Trey Savage, first pitch, Julio Rodriguez pulls one to left field. For as much as that would suck, that's not going to hurt you, obviously, nearly as much as Julio's Game 2 home run against him. So that's why I think moving a Arozarena down, who is an automatic out, I get it, moving him down the lineup might actually help. It might actually help Toronto a little bit. And I think they just need to be smarter in terms of how they approach guys like Eugenio Suarez. Guys, the only pitch Suarez is seeing right now is up. If you throw Suarez any pitch other than a low fastball, if you throw Suarez anything other than a high fastball or low fastball, there's nothing he can do with it. Or just a general pitch up. So if you throw, if you hang a sweeper or a slider on him, obviously he's going to kill that. But anything, if you throw Suarez off speed down, he's going to swing. He guesses. He guesses all the time. He can't hit a sweeper down. He can't hit a sweeper away. And that was the same thing that the announce team was going over before Gausman gave up that initial home run in the third inning or the second inning to Suarez. Suarez, he's been guessing all series long. He's lost the plate. What does Gausman do first pitch? Leaves him a fastball right down the middle, and he turns on it. Just got to be smarter, because guys like Arozarena, Suarez, they are swinging for the fences. And I believe, again, the Blue Jays having a day off, they've gotten a chance to look at Game 5. You're back at home. I think they've made those adjustments, and I think they're going to be much better this time around against those guys. Again, the guys that can hurt you are Julio, are Raleigh, and Jorge Polanco. I'm not too scared. Naylor, maybe. I'm not that scared of Arozarena, Suarez, Crawford, Canzone, Robles if he comes in, or Leo Rivas. I'm not scared of those guys. The guys I'd be scared of if I'm the Blue Jays are Julio, Raleigh, and Polanco. Obviously 1, 2, 3, but I think they're much more manageable at this part of the order. I think they are. I know I've said Arozarena is bad. Okay, yeah. The thing is, you're not concerned about Leo Rivas in the 9 spot taking you deep. It obviously is a potential he could, right? But you're not that concerned. You're not going to be pitching around Rivas. You're pitching around, for as bad as Arozarena has been, you're still pitching around him a little bit, because worst thing, Arozarena takes you deep or puts one in the gap, right? So I think the Blue Jays are fine here. I'm going to take Toronto at home. Blue Jays money line -125 here against the Seattle Mariners. Again, I don't love Game 7 at all for them. I don't like it tomorrow night, because Toronto's going to go to Shane Bieber. George Kirby's going. I don't know. And I get it. It was a game that the Blue Jays won in Game 3. Can they do it again, though? That's my thing with this game, too. I don't think the Mariners are able to win this the second time around in Savage Gilbert. Can the Blue Jays really win back-to-back with Bieber and Kirby? Maybe they can. I just don't like it. I think this one, though, does go to Toronto. About the Dodgers, congrats, I guess. Ohtani played, he was all right. It was cool. Played an all right game. I think if we let Shinosuke Agasawara bat, maybe he'd be able to do the same thing. I don't know. No, good on Shohei. That was, nothing I can say about that. I'm glad the Dodgers they're really happy about ruining baseball. It's great. I saw that they might get Kyle Tucker now too. Yeah, cool. I guess we have one more year left of the sport, and then 2027 we're gonna go into a lockout, and the sport's never gonna come back. So maybe we'll start off the USLB, like the USFL, the U.S. League Baseball, because I don't think the MLB is going to be a thing after 2026. So enjoy baseball while you can. The Dodgers three-peat might literally end the sport. It's okay. Everyone's going to go to the MPB in Japan. All right. I'm going to become a Yokohama DNA Baystar fan. Maybe I will. I don't know. Anyways, folks, thank y'all for watching our MLB Best Bets here for Game 6 of the ALCS. Again, if the Mariners win tonight, I will see you on Friday morning for Game 1 of the World Series between the Mariners and the Dodgers. If not, if the Blue Jays win tonight like we think, I'll see you guys tomorrow morning for Game 7 of the ALCS Win or Go Home Monday night, Mariners and Jays. Regardless of that, folks, daily NBA Best Bets start up on Tuesday morning. So if you have not yet, again, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. I'll see you guys either tomorrow morning or on Tuesday morning for our NBA Best Bets. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.